Welcome out to the Screen Boy Podcast, episode number 24. And we're just doing a quick, fun little episode that we said we'd do a while back, but never got around to it. I don't know why. Not a while back, but a little sooner than this, but really, honestly, it's probably right on time. We're going to look, Jesse.
Ronnie.
I don't know what's wrong with me tonight. What's wrong with me every single time we do a show?
How long have you been up?
Quite a while. I did watch. Okay, so of course Jesse's here with me tonight,
Ladies and gentlemen.
ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, the infamous Jesse Starcher. Jesse, how you doing tonight?
Oh man, I'm street level starching it up.
I know you are, and I know you have to be excited.
You know I am.
Yeah. One reason he's excited, and the only reason probably right now, is we just started watching The Punisher on Netflix.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah, it came out today, and the very first episode, if you haven't watched it, spoilers ahoy real quick, but those construction workers, holy crap, he just ripped into these guys, and didn't even use a gun. Didn't even use a gun.
Nope. You don't mess with Frank Castle.
You don't with Pete Castiglione.
Yeah, that's right. Pete Castiglione.
Which is, if you probably know this because you're a Punisher fan. That's actually Frank Castle's real name.
Is it Pete or is it
Francis?
Okay, I was gonna say I don't remember the Pete, but I know I've recognized the Castiglione.
So Castiglione is his real name, and it's Francis, which is why he goes by Frank.
Mm-hmm.
So he changed it, like most people of Italian heritage did in the day, because my grandfather was Mario Bavino when he came from Sicily in 1920s, 1930, my grandpa would have been in his hundreds now.
Wow.
90, late 90s, early 100.
Now, who immigrated over here?
My grandfather.
So your grandfather is straight up Italian.
Sicilian, yeah.
Sicilian, yeah, exactly. That's
which is Italian, but
sure.
It's the football that the boot is kicking.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. But so
geography made better by sports.
Right. So my grandfather and his family immigrated, and so his name was Mario Bavino. Well, when he came over, they allowed him to keep his last name, of course, but they changed his name to Mike.
Really?
Yeah. They said, well, we'll call you Mike, because it was more American sounding.
Yeah, and then
so
then Mario becomes like the quintessential video game pop culture name. Like,
don't get me started on that. When some people, a while back found out my grandfather's real name was Mario, they would go, "It's me, I'm Mario," and I'm like, I hate all of you.
Yeah, somebody's getting an elbow drop.
Yeah, oh, dude, it was. It was when I went to Bible college for a year, and there was nothing fun to do there anyway. So except for
pick on people and make fun of them.
And then they found out that I watched wrestling. But anyway, so Frank Castle has returned to the airways in the form of John Bernthal, and he is he's amazing as Frank Castle. He's so good.
I'm digging it so far. We just finished episode 2. So
yeah, I did too.
We're kind of cruising right along, not binging as much as we would like. Then I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the kids are up. So
yeah, it's a little rough, but it's not as bad as it could be.
That's true. So far,
and it's having watched Punisher Warzone, which is my favorite of the 2 Punisher movies, 3
I'm
Punisher
right there with
movies. Then the Punisher with Thomas Jane, And then, of course, The Punisher with Dolph Lundgren, which no one likes to speak about.
Yeah.
But it's the Punisher Warzone is the better of the three movies, and it's rough. He shoves a table leg through a guy's head.
Oh man.
But so this whole series is going to be amazing. And when we both finish it, we'll get Adam to finish it, maybe, hopefully, and we'll talk about it coming up at a future episode, the next episode or two. And then also watch. We need to talk about this as soon as if you can get your eyeballs on it. Justice League.
Oh yeah.
So I've got Mark Radlich syndrome right now. This is a great way to start a podcast. I'm just telling you what we're going to do instead of just doing it. So I watched Justice League last night, and it was not as bad as it should have been.
Okay, that's good. That's good news.
Yeah. It was actually, you know how I'll say this and then we'll move on. You know how Zack Snyder stuff makes you like question your existence and then go home and beat your head against the wall because you're depressed? This definitely had Joss Whedon's fingerprints all over it. That's
good. Yeah. I did hear something interesting today, which this might be old hat for you or already old news, but Rotten Tomatoes withheld the rating for that movie and unveiled it during a podcast. So they purposely withheld the critics' rating and then made a big deal of it when they revealed it.
Listen, Rotten Tomatoes is a bunch of douchebags anyway, in my opinion.
Wait a second.
Excuse my language. Because I just think, I don't know, man. I just think they're critics in the. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't have said.
I mean,
sorry, Rotten Tomatoes.
I don't know much about the whole aggregate. Critical rating and how they come up with that stuff, other than what I've heard on the podcast. On the 9
times out of 10, when people are trying to be a movie critic dislike something intensely like that, I usually end up liking it.
Yeah,
that's why, because they find the smallest things and they nitpick on it. Instead of looking at how it should be or how it is or anything like that. Now, was there a lot of stuff to choose from in Justice League? Yes. They are justified in some of the things they probably said. I didn't read any of the Rotten Tomatoes reviews or anything like that. Either. There's a lot going on in there. It is. Let me put it this way: it is a hot mess, but it's a fun mess.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and it's the only reason it's fun, I dare say, is because it has Whedon's fingerprints all over it.
Well, watch out when you start having fun at movies. Then people you get people that like absolutely hate Thor Ragnarok or something. So don't be having too much fun in the movie.
Pat Mullen. I'll call him out. I don't care. How are you going to hate Thor Ragnarok?
Like I said,
one of the best movies I've seen in a while.
I had
Marvel movies.
Boy, when they got a hold of that on Damn You Hollywood, that was a.
I purposely did not listen to that episode.
Pat and Robert Winfrey are
purposely.
They are. I respect their opinion, movie opinion, and everything like that. That's for sure. And especially Pat's opinion on Thor. He's what I could consider a Thor purist for sure.
Well, yeah.
And that was, if you're a Thor purist, you're not going to like Thor Ragnarok.
Well, no.
If
you're a Marvel purist, you're not going to like any of the movies, period.
But if you're just out to have fun in the movies,
yeah.
A lot of times that's what you're going to do. Then, by golly, I think it'll be fun to talk about it. It'll be fun to talk about it when we do.
Absolutely. But Pat Mullen, Pat, I think the world of you, buddy. I really do. I think you're a great guy, but you don't like good things. Buddy, I shouldn't say that. Pat, I doubt you even listen to this show.
Pat would call in right now. If
Pat
we
would
had a
call
call
in right now, we would have a completely different show on our hands.
Yes,
It would just be me and Pat yelling at each other. I would be mostly incoherent. I don't understand why you don't like it. And Pat would be giving me logical reasons why, and I'd be like, "No, it doesn't make sense. It's so much fun." But I imagine Pat and Robert Winfrey being like the two old Muppets that sit in the what are their names? That sit in the balcony and just yell insults down at the show.
For the longest time, Winfrey's Twitter picture was the eagle from
it was, wasn't
from
it?
the Muppets, which, I think that was somewhat of a representation, I would assume, as to why he picked that.
So, but anyway, all right, tonight, without further ado, Jesse and I have, Jesse actually got me he got me a new addiction. He got me involved in and got me a little taste of something I couldn't really be a part of for a while, but now I can, and I've been enjoying it so much, which is comic conventions.
Mm-hmm.
So the very first one I ever went to, as we know them today, comic conventions as we know them today, with the cosplay and the panels and the not just I went to one when I was a kid, and I loved it. Don't get me wrong, and I still have fond memories of it today. But it was just rows and rows of tables of comic books, and it was just you trade and you buy and you sell, and that was it. There was no cosplay contest. There were no podcast panels or movie reviews or anything like that. Which that's what some people would call a pure comic book convention, an old school one. Which there are still places for that, but I actually got to go to River City Comic Con one year, and got to sit in on a podcasting panel with you, Jesse, and a few other, with the Dueling Ogres, with the Kapow podcast, and some podcasts about dinosaurs. And so you got me interested in that, and you invited me down. Now, I'll let you, if you want to, tell us a little bit about River City.
Oh yeah, River City Comic Con. It has been around. Oh boy, I want to say since 2011. I know I'm not doing this justice because I should have done a little bit of research, but I know they've been around for quite a while.
Yeah.
And enough to get their feet wet in Marietta. It's usually run by our good buddy from Kapow, the Pop Culture Podcast, Jordan Lowe, who owns Asylum Comics right here in Marietta, Ohio. And it's been a journey so far, because River City Comic Con, usually you can count on them bringing in the vendors to sell comics. That's number one. I think that's always first and foremost on his mind. And he also loves to bring in the local talent from around the area. And it's not too often that he brings in a big celebrity. There's been a couple celebrities that have showed up. I believe, I want to say, I'm going to butcher this. I think it was Ralphie's brother from The Christmas Story.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I think it was him. It wasn't Ralphie, I don't believe, but I think it was his brother, the one that got, the one in the suit.
Yeah,
the snowsuit. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was him. But anyway, they brought in a couple other people that, but it's never a big affair, something like Wizard World or like that. Some of the biggest guests that I can remember was when he offered, or he got Remix Pro to come in.
Okay.
And usually they would set up a table, and dude, EC3 was there one year.
Yeah.
The Boogeyman. I have a great story about the Boogeyman and my son, who was scared to death of the Boogeyman. And when he got up there to get an autograph with Kira, Boogeyman did some kind of scary thing that he usually does. Caleb flat out just starts bawling, scared to death. And he it doesn't break character, but he immediately realizes he's frightened the kid, and he is 100% so genuinely nice to him. Gives him a free autograph picture, and
Nice.
just is really cool. And he was the life of the party. He got there way late, but I'll never forget that Comic-Con because it was being held in the Lafayette Hotel down here in Marietta. And it was a very, very packed ballroom floor. Vendors wall to wall. It was tough to move in. But
that's where we were, right?
No, we were actually, that was the hotel by, I want to say it was the Days Inn.
Okay, yeah, it was the Days Inn, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this was Lafayette Hotels, right on the river. And anyway, when he showed up, man, even though he was a little bit late, Boogeyman was the life of the party. I mean, I remember when he picked one kid up and was like running the kid around the floor. He had him on his shoulders and everything. I mean, he was the life of the con. But anyway, River City's always been, about bringing books, I think, first and foremost. If you can get your comic books and pop figures and all that good stuff. The venues have been changing over the year, but I'll tell you about this last one we went to. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the one I'd like to discuss because I know we're going to be talking about your recent cons that you had the opportunity to go to. Now, this one, you didn't have the chance to make it down.
No, I double booked myself.
I should say up because you are south of us. Anyway, this was being held at a brand new venue. I'm sure as a con artist, as you're trying to run cons, you've got to try and figure out so much stuff that falls in line to try and get as many people in as possible so your con will be successful. Well, a lot of that depends upon the venue you get, the day you pick, and specifically possibly even the weekend that you pick it in. So this was a new venture for Jordan and River City Comic-Con because we decided to do it at Marietta College this year. This is the first time we'd ever been there because the last 2 years, unfortunately, at Days Inn, there were some temperature issues and it just never got fixed.
Oof.
This place, let me tell you, this place was great. I'm very glad that they chose this venue. There's still a lot of kinks for myself. I think if we do in regards to like panels. Yeah. Panels and things like that. I think there might be a little bit of work, but I mean, it's a work in progress. You go into a brand new venue, you got to learn a lot. So anyway, it was the wide open spaces, dude. And the place that they had it in, they only used, it was a big gymnasium that I think it's the basketball court for the Pioneers. I could be wrong, but it's huge. And I mean, big enough to where he was able to fit the whole con in it and still have half a building that was draped off.
Man.
So it's not saying our con's small, but because we fit, I think we fit everybody in there that we've had in the past previous. So it was amazing to see how much space we had. There were a lot of vendors, and it was a very good, I think it was a very good place to have it. I definitely told Jordan, I said, this is the place to come back to. That's for sure. I had the opportunity to be on a panel again, and it was a fun panel with the guys from Kapow. They invited me, and I was very humbled to go and have a good time doing comic book trivia. With the audience. I
wanted to be part of that so bad.
Yeah, dude. I sat on the stage and we asked. Pretty much here's the way it went down. The Grand Poobah himself. He pretty much asked all the questions. Maybe handed the mic over to us every once in a while. My job was to try and figure out something to come up with and make myself important. So all I did was ask people about their shirts. They came up on the stage. And that shirt, man, what are you wearing there? Tell us about your shirt. And then we proceed with the comic book question. But dude, they were giving out prizes, magnets, all sorts of great stuff. And even at the end of it, unfortunately, I don't think we had the level of participation we were expecting, but we went the full hour getting people up there, and we still had prizes left over that we were just giving away for free.
Nice.
So yeah, it was nice. Costume contest always rocks there.
Yeah.
And
I was very impressed when I went that year with the cosplay level. So
yeah. And Jordan does a great job of getting a feel for, you know, who'd be interested in coming in. I think he had the Grand Master of Cosplay, this lady who really puts a lot of work into her cosplay, and I wish I could remember her name. But
this is a whole new world for me as far as cosplay goes. I thought it was just people who like to dress up as the characters, but there are people that are in cosplay groups. You know,
dude.
That name themselves. You know, they have Facebook fan pages and all this stuff. And I'm like, what? You know, they just dress up as comic book characters, but they put a lot of work in this. I have new respect for them.
Oh yeah, dude. They that is for sure. There was one panel that I didn't have the opportunity to sit in on. It was just a lady that was up there talking about crafting costumes and putting certain flair pretty much on what you want and easy ways of doing that. So it's a very popular part of the con.
Yeah.
And people love to get their pictures taken with somebody that's dressed up like their favorite character.
Oh, absolutely.
I learned about a new character while I was on that panel, by the way. Tell me if you've heard of this character. Yes. And I don't know if I don't know what publishing company does this. I'm sure it's an independent. Shirtless Bear Fighter.
Yes, actually, I've heard of Shirtless Bear Fighter. I don't know if it was from you but
I shared something immediately. Like 2 days later, it shows up in my feed. And I'm like, I've never heard of this until the con hit. And then 2 days later, I'm looking at stuff that's popping up advertised. Surprise. You know, the government's got their ears on you, or Facebook's got their ears on you. But
listen, I've signed up for Amazon Prime, and it's the most terrifying thing ever.
Oh, it's scary.
Anything I look up on Amazon is being advertised at Facebook, and I'm like, you know what? Stop it, big brother.
No kidding, dude. But yeah, I walked away with a few comics. I always go in there and look for the what ifs, and I was pleased. You know, you find your $2 comics that you're looking for. So next year, I have a feeling that we will most likely see I have a feeling we'll see some growth there. If we can nab that building again,
see some bigger names pop up at River City.
Very, very, very good possibility. I'm pleased. I didn't have the opportunity this year to go and interview like I usually do.
Yeah,
I would usually grab some people that are going to be showing up there, talk to them, and then provide like a real podcast reel prior to the con. Didn't do that this year. I don't know. I either didn't feel motivated enough, or that takes some time. It does take some time to get that together.
I mean, we both are Apple, iPhone users, and they are. I think they're the best phone you can get for like a podcasting. Tool.
I agree.
So I watched you, and I learned a few things from you. The year we went to River City last year, and watched you do your interviews and everything. I was like, man, I need to take after him. So there's some tricks that you can pull out with this stuff and do the interviews. It just takes some time, man. You gotta get around, talk to everybody, and then there's so much going on at these things that it just, you have to really be bought into wanting to interview everybody.
That's true.
Anybody you can come across. So it's one of those things where like you're either there to work or you're there to enjoy yourself. And I had an idea of interviewing people randomly because unfortunately at the comic book conventions I went to, I didn't know the person putting it on. So I was like, hey, you know what? I better not, because I'm just here as a spectator. I'm not I didn't pay to do this, or I didn't sign up for any kind of credentials. So, I don't want to ruffle any
Step on
feathers.
it. Yeah, you don't want to step on any toes or anything.
So it's, but yeah, I know when I went to River City, I had a blast, and I didn't realize that it was, it was going to be like that. And they had of course, your vendors. They had the vendor tables. They had the artist tables. Local artists come in. They sell their paintings or their drawings, their sketches, their comic books that they've done. Their self-published books, things like that. So there's a lot of talent floating around that Mid Ohio Valley in West Virginia and places like that I didn't realize was there. So I was very impressed. And Jordan always does such a good job.
He does. He puts his heart and soul into that con, and it shows because he cares about the people that come to that con. Not only does he care about the vendors, he wants every person to walk away from that with an experience that they can go and say, okay, well, hey, I'm coming back and I'm bringing back some friends next time. So he does a great job. There was even a story I heard there where this is a prime example of the good guy that Jordan is. And I'll be quiet about it, and we can move on to the cons that you made it to. But he posted a Facebook post where he has talked about he had such a great time at the con. However, he said he found, as he was going through the long boxes, he found like the first appearance of, oh my goodness, it was somebody recent. I want to say it was Batgirl, not Batgirl. Man, I wish I could. Maybe it was Batwoman. Either way, or no, it was X-23. It was the first appearance of X-23.
Dang.
And he said it was in a dollar box that a vendor had out there. And he was nice enough to say, hey, just to let you know, this is out here. And I mean, if you look that up, it's going for a little bit more than $1.
Yeah.
So anyway, Jordan, he's a good guy. And I hope that, River City continues to have the success that it does. And I think we found a great venue now. I say we, like I'm part of it. I'm not. I just have the opportunity to go there, and I want to see the place. I want to see it succeed. And I feel like I'm part of that community. I feel like I'm.
You're a staple. I'm serious. Like, I have a feeling that if you did not go, you would be sorely missed.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's just going to be, it's going to be fun to see where it goes from here. We'll hopefully have that venue for quite a while. Nothing will, and then we can just keep growing. So
yeah, absolutely.
So where did you go, man? I mean, I can't remember if you talked about it on my show about the first one you went to, or if you did it on here.
I think a little bit of both. I haven't really talked at length about any of the ones I've been to several this year. So my first one I went to this year was Greensboro Comic-Con. And I did not realize that the Greensboro Comic-Con, this was their very first show, their very first con that they did. And so I had just, of course, most people know that we have day jobs. This does not pay the bills, my friends. We do this because we love it, and we love you. If you're listening, if you're not, start listening. So maybe it'll pay a few bills.
If they're not listening, I don't think they got the message. But
you know what? Shut up. Don't judge me.
Logistics, logic is out the window.
You know me and logic. We're not friends.
Not friends.
I just realized I was very rude to you. Shut up. Sorry about that.
Don't worry, I'll cry later.
Oh, hush. But anyway, so I just switched jobs. Now, I received an offer that I was from a job I was working in telecommunications, and I used a big fancy word for I was selling cell phones, but I was working in telecommunications, and I received a job from another company doing something, same kind of title, but completely different. And, I got it's just a better opportunity for me, as far as hours and money and things like that. So, completely stoked that I got this. I see, you know what? I'm going to celebrate, and I'm going to buy VIP tickets to the Greensboro Comic Con that's coming up. So I go on the site, and I bought VIP tickets to the Greensboro Comic Con, which were $25. And I was like, heck yeah, I'm buying VIP for $25 for both days. So
Yeah.
I bought it, and that's at the time I didn't realize that's because this was their first show, and so we got to the venue, which was a hotel in Greensboro, and I didn't know what to expect. Like I said, this River City was my first show. It was my first Comic Con, and so I was expecting something like that, and it was. I mean, it had the same basic feel to it. The same basic. I don't want to say rules, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But the venue that they had was completely different. It was a 3-story Comic Con. So when you first walk in, the lobby is there, and they use it as a lobby, as a foyer, or whatever you want to say. And you walk in, and they had a bunch of cosplay groups that were just chilling there to greet you. They had the 501st Legion, which is a group of Star Wars cosplayers, which are just incredible. I mean, their stuff is movie quality, and if you are interested in joining them, you have to have your costume has to be up to their standards, but they will help you get started. They're really cool people. So you got to see some Jedi, some takes on their takes on Jedi, on Mandalorians. Then they had the Mandalorian mercs were there, which were completely different, takes on the whole Boba Fett, where he came from and everything. So you had your Wild West Mandalorian, mercenary. You had, things like that. It was really cool to see. And then one girl was dressed as Lady Death, and she completely terrified me because she had the beautiful girl, sweet as she could be, had these contacts in that made her eyes completely white. And when she didn't have them on when I first got there, and then she put them in, I was like, "Oh, where are your eyes?" And she just laughed at me. So, the first, that's when you first walk in. So, downstairs is the vendor alley is what they called it. So, vendor alley was nothing but comic book, pop vinyl figures, toys, anything you could possibly sell that had anything to do with any kind of pop culture fan, comic books, movies, video games, anything like that. It was there. Up on the the first, that was the basement level, the first level. Second level, of course, was the lobby, and all the cosplayers, I guess you could say professional cosplayers. But off to the left, they had rooms. That's where your panels were, and then upstairs was Artist Alley. So they had all your creators and all your artists and authors up there. So they actually had book authors,
Mm-hmm.
and which was that was a first for me. I didn't realize that they had book authors there as well. So when you walk into Greensboro, of course, they ask to check your bag. They make sure you have your tag on. If you're dressed in cosplay, they check your weapons, and if you have anything like an airsoft gun or something that's super realistic, and of course, if you have real weapons, they don't allow you in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you have an airsoft gun, they don't allow you
Oh,
in.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah, anything like that, you're not allowed in. It has to be non-working. It has to be fake. So it's either a toy, non-working airsoft gun, or you don't come in. So that was, the security was pretty tight. the staff was excellent. They knew exactly what was going on, what time, where to go, where to be. This is what you need. Since I had VIP, I got some art, some books, and things like that. So you could tell it was like, now that I was, see it, you could tell it was their first show because I was like, the swag was a little not wanting, but it was stuff that, I was like, this is all stuff that was probably donated to them.
No.
But they still had some really cool things in there. I got a piece of custom art for the Greensboro Con, in which the artist that drew it was there, and he signed it for me. I got some really cool prints and stuff like that. So, got to be got to be in a panel that was called the
Nerd Slam.
Just by chance they found me and said, "Hey, you want to be in the Nerd Slam?" I was like, "I don't know what you mean. Am I going to fight somebody?" And they're like, "No, it's trivia contest." And it was actually it was pretty cool. I got that, I think I told I told the story about that on one of the shows. How I answered a question right, and they told me I was wrong. So I showed them that I was right, and they made it up. But to me, the first place was a weekend pass to the Durham City, the North Carolina Comic Con Bull City is what it's called. It's in Durham, North Carolina. So I told him about it, and the guy made it up to me. He said, "Hey, we're going to give you a weekend pass to Fayetteville Comic Con." I was like, "Hey, that's great." Fayetteville's about an hour and 45 minutes away from me, somewhere through there. And so that's actually how I got hooked up and went to Fayetteville. So Greensboro, for it being their first con, they were just dead on, man. It was an awesome experience. I had a ton of fun. There was a lot of great vendors there, a lot of good books, really cool things to see. And the cosplay was great. This was one of the first things, this is people were like I guess they were on their game because it was like Greensboro's first con. So they were like, "Hey, let's make this good." So it was a lot of fun. I was like, you wouldn't have even, if they hadn't have told you, you wouldn't have even guessed it was the first time.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was like, everything was like, worked, it was like clockwork. Everything was great. And, they didn't have any big name guests there that I remember. Nobody that I was really like, "Oh, I have to see them." But that's because it was their first time, and they probably didn't have the money to shell out to get somebody there, which is understandable, but it was still, who cares? Nobody, you don't really need somebody like that just to have a good convention. So it was, like I said, they outdid themselves. You couldn't even tell it was their first time. And I actually got to be a part of a podcast there, the Exhaust Port, which is an all Star Wars podcast. Those guys were really cool. So a lot of cool stuff going on, a lot of good cosplay, and everything worked like clockwork. It was great. The second one I went to was in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Fayetteville was a little different because everything was laid out. It was more like River City. River City, you had your main floor when I went, and then there's little separate rooms for like kids, for your panels, for your cosplay contest, stuff like that. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember everything smelling like butt and feet because everybody was sweating in one room. And then you go to the cosplay contest and it just smelled like straight up chlorine because it was near the pool.
It was in the pool. Yeah,
they had just added chlorine to the pool, and it was like, oh Lord! But at least it doesn't smell like sweaty nerds, And so it was.
I wish I would have known you when we first went to the very first River City that I had the opportunity to. I think it might have been the first one or the second one, but dude, it was just it is forever known. And I will always call it the Surface of the Sun Con.
Yeah,
it was
y'all call it that all the time. I think that's incredible.
Big metal building, 4-H building, and there was plenty of room in there. It just happened to be on the hottest day of the year, and it was there's no closing the door, no air conditioning. This is a 4-H building,
no airflow.
Two fans that did absolutely nothing on each of the entrances. You could stand in front of them. That's about as far as it was going to reach. The other, like, I don't know, 300 feet inside of there were just, sweaty nerds dripping all over the comic books as they poured through the long boxes. It was, I remember, dude, my buddy Justin, not the Justin we know. This is another Justin.
Ewing?
No, this is Justin W.
Okay.
I don't think you've ever met him.
I haven't.
He
told me some stories.
He shows up, and Justin's a bit bigger than I am. He's a little bit taller, but he's kind of heavier set, and he is sweating profusely. And I mean, like, you get underarm sweat. All right, we get that, Ronnie. We get underarm sweat. But when your underarm sweat goes all the way down the side of your belly, down the middle of your belly, I'm looking at him and I'm like, dude, it's hot. And yes, that was, boy, we learned lessons. But go ahead.
I mean, like, I can't imagine, because I mean, it was hot in that hotel that we were in when I was at River City. I got a little toasty at Greensboro, and they had the air on.
Oh wow!
Stuff like that. So I can't imagine being in a big metal building with no air.
Cole Cash, so, you know how big Cole Cash is.
Cole Cash is a good sized fella. He's
big dude,
professional wrestler.
Ran into him. It's the first time I think I ever met him face to face. Like, shook his hand or whatever.
Yeah,
got a picture with Kira. Matter of fact, I might be able to find that on Facebook, but. Oh my gosh. I mean, you could tell the surface of the sun was affecting that man as well. He's going around trying to make his rounds and be nice and represent Remix. And you could just, he was, let's just say he was sweating just a tiny little bit. It was bad, but go ahead. Continue. I interrupted.
So Fayetteville was a large building, and everything was laid out on the floor. So the way they had it set up was your first half. I mean, like, when you walk in, the right side was your artists, the artists, the creators, and the authors. Mm-hmm. And then on the left side was your vendors. And they also had a section set up for gamers, tabletop gamers, card games. They had Magic the Gathering, they had Pokemon, which I'll never understand Pokemon. I just don't get how you play that game.
Taking the world by storm.
Yeah. But so you had, all these card games. Then you had your Star Wars tabletop game. I think some D&D was going on, things like that. So that was really cool. That's the first time I've ever seen that. Of course, this was only my third Comic-Con ever. It's the first time I've ever heard of that. Let's say that.
Okay.
So they had tabletop gaming going on. They had the big, large. They had, a lot of stuff. They had a lot of stuff on display there. They had the car replica. I think it was a replica. I don't think it was the real one. I know it wasn't a real one. But the same kind of car that Dean and Sam drive, the Winchesters drive in Supernatural.
You showed me a picture of that. That's pretty cool.
Had the arsenal in the back, in the trunk. And then, the big steampunk TARDIS and the steampunk the robots from Doctor Who.
Oh, the
Exterminate.
Yeah, they were called Daleks.
Yeah, that guy. He was there. I hate Doctor Who. And then they had the the cosplay contest. Nerd Slam was there again. I got to be a part of that. Lots of cool little panels going on. Now, usually when they have guests, they had some good guests this time. This one, you'd had to be in our age range really to really appreciate it, because Sam Jones, who played Flash Gordon, was there. in the
Wow.
Flash Gordon movie. They had Lou Ferrigno, who played the Incredible Hulk,
Yeah.
up until this recent movie, up until Thor Ragnarok. He played the voice of the Hulk.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, he did. And then Thor Ragnarok, because he had actual lines other than puny God, a few little lines like that. They got Mark Ruffalo actually played the voice of the Hulk this time.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, he has more to say, so they let the actor be the one that was actually doing the motion capture. They let him do the voice too.
Yeah.
So Lou Ferrigno was there. Lou Ferrigno, for being in his mid to late 60s, looks fantastic, by the way.
Oh, really?
Oh my gosh. I thought he was going to be like a sad sack, but he was like, he's a hoss, dude. Sam Jones looks great. He's very nice. I didn't know how he was going to be, with, fans and everything. Very gracious, very nice. Both of them were just wonderful guys. They were charging a little much for me to pay for an autograph, but so I didn't go up. I really didn't have anything for either one of them to sign, but I did snap a couple pictures of them. They were, very, very nice guys. I got Lou Ferrigno to laugh at me.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So Lou laughed at me because as I was coming through, I wasn't to do the nerd slam. I wasn't paying attention and almost knocked his table over. And I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I'm just awkward." And he's like, "It's okay." And he's just laughing at me like, "You big idiot." Very nice guy. Very nice guy. So and then they had Nod from Superman 1 and 2, the guy who played the character Nod. Remember the big the big dumb one?
Oh, yes.
Kryptonian?
I know who you're talking about. Okay.
He is getting up there in years, but even he looked pretty happy, he's a pretty cool guy, but he, age is taking its toll a little bit because he was also a professional boxer.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, very sweet guy, very nice, very gracious, very, just smiling the entire time, waving at kids, taking pictures with people, being a nice guy. So those were really cool. I got to listen to Lou Ferrigno speak Sunday morning.
Let me ask you: Did he have a stutter?
No stutter, but he does have an impediment because he is deaf.
That's right. Okay, I don't know why I was thinking they were
partially deaf.
Okay, all right.
And but very inspiring guy. And it was cool to listen to him talk about how he don't give up. I didn't think I was going to be able to do anything. Nice guy. As far as the con goes, they were on point with security. Holy crap. I did not have any reason to be worried about anything. They had the police there, checked your weapons. So a police officer, multiple police officers were there all day, checking cosplay weapons. Of course, once again, if you got in, they if you had a real one and didn't have a permit for it, you probably went to jail.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, but
have a little bit more problems than getting into a con.
So all of the staff were very nice, very gracious. Knew what was going on. Didn't see a whole lot of them, but you didn't really need them, because everything was just right there.
Yeah.
So you really didn't go, okay, where was this going to be? Where's this going to be? So they had a DJ that was, was emceeing the event as well. So he'd always tell you, hey, it's 10 minutes till this. You need to get to this room, and it's this way. And then you'd always have somebody waving at you. So they were on point. They've been doing this for years. Mm-hmm. It's the biggest square footage wise. It's the biggest convention in North Carolina. And so they had the food trucks outside. They had those set up. They had, snack food on the inside at the vendor station. I got to look through some of these books. They had some great vendors there. Bought some books. Bought some pops. Bought one of the coolest vendors there was they were selling pint glasses that were laser etched, and they would laser etch anything into it that not there, but just they had. I bought Star Wars that had the Rebel symbol and the Imperial symbol. They had Cobra and a Cobra symbol. They had Thundercats. They had the one I couldn't choose between Autobots and Decepticons or Star Wars. And I was like, well, let's just go Star Wars. They had one that didn't have anything on it. I was like, well, what in the world? Is this just a blank copy? And she goes, look inside. And you looking at the bottom of the glass, it was that you have been poisoned.
Oh, wow.
So if you're done drinking, if you're having a beer or something that you can't see the bottom of the glass, as soon as you're done, you look down and it says you have just been poisoned.
That's crazy.
It was so much fun. It was so fun. I bought a couple of pint glasses from him, just because I was like, these are fantastic.
Yeah.
There was more stuff there other than comic books that I and pop figures that I was like, this is really cool. I bought a pocket watch with the Rebel symbol on it from Star Wars. Love that. Yeah, I love that thing. Bought some old school original 1983 G.I. Joes and a couple of those and one of the Jeeps from G.I. Joe. And which I was completely stoked about because, it didn't cost a whole lot of money. It cost me maybe like $20 total for the, for those, $20 total for both Joes, complete with their weapons.
Very cool.
And the Jeep, which was complete as well. So I was really pumped about that. And then, they had more toys there and stuff like that. So the overall experience, the cosplay was great. The cosplay contest was awesome. The winner was a dude that was dressed up like the Queen of Hearts. His dress, his costume had LEDs on it and everything. It was nuts. It was crazy. They did have a Deadpool off because you're going to find a lot of guys dressed as Deadpool. And
all the time,
everywhere you go. If it's a convention, Deadpool's going to be there. A lot of girls too, but you'll find a lot of Deadpools and a lot of Harley Quinns. So they were like, there was an abundance of Deadpool. So they were like, hey, let's just have a contest to see who has the best Deadpool outfit, or costume. So they were like, well, you need all the Deadpools on stage. And this one dude who had a movie quality Deadpool, costume, gets up on stage, and he even had he had a stick pony, but it was a unicorn.
Mm-hmm.
The swords on his back, the whole nine. And I guess everybody else said, you know what? There's no way we're beating him, so we're not going up there. And the whole time they were playing DMX, going to give it to you.
Yeah.
And so the guy's just up there by himself, and he's, it's a little awkward. So he just starts dancing, and he danced to the entire song, and by himself. Like one or two people dressed as Deadpool came up towards the end, and they just watched him, and they just kind of did the whole Wayne's World, we're not worthy thing at the end. And but that guy was incredible. He was like, he deserved whatever prize he got, because not only did he have the best costume, but he was Deadpool because he was just dancing the entire time. So that was really cool. Nerd Slam was cool. My friend Nick was there with me, and Nick actually, I'm not going to lie, he resembles Chris Hemsworth a lot.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. He looks like Thor. So when Thor shows up and he's wearing an anime t-shirt, because my friend is really into anime, and he's a very talented artist. He can draw just about anything, but he's really into anime. You get a lot of 14 to 15-year-old girls going, oh my God, I love your shirt. What's your name? Who are you? You look like Chris Hemsworth, so I got to make fun of him a lot that day. So I went to both days, Saturday and Sunday of that. It was a lot of fun, met some people, got to be in Nerd Slam, and it was a little overwhelming at first because everything was just there. And then once you get the layout of how everything went, it was pretty easy to keep up with. Now, the two things that I'm missing that I forgot to mention completely was in Greensboro. I actually got to meet one of my favorite books is The Stuff of Legend. Now, The Stuff of Legend is a story about this young kid who it's kind of like Toy Story meets Watership Down.
Okay.
The Stuff of Legend is this young boy, and it's like World War One. This young boy gets kidnapped by the boogeyman and taken into that world, into the boogie world or whatever, where toys come to life and all this stuff. So his toys, they see him get captured. The young boy's puppy tries to stop it, and he gets, of course, he can't stop it because he's just a pup. So his toys decide that there's something needs to be done. So his Jack in the Box, his toy soldier, the Colonel, his Indian princess, his Native American princess, wooden Native American princess doll, and some other toys, his piggy bank and a few other things, decide we have to go get him. So they venture into this world to go get him. It's 1944 Brooklyn. I'm sorry, it's World War II. I said one. I meant two.
Mm-hmm.
So his soldier, the Colonel, looks like he's from World War One. That's why I said that. They become life size and with functional weapons, pistols, and the Jack in the Box actually becomes the jester who has knives. The Colonel, of course, has his rifle. The teddy bear becomes a bear with teeth and claws. So they fight for their boy. They have to go get him. So this like kind of changed the way I looked at comic books a little bit. I love this series. I loved reading it. It's a phenomenal read. And when I was walking by, I looked up at one of the things and I was like, oh my God, The Stuff of Legend. Brian Smith was there. So I was there and I got to talk to him. And so hopefully soon you might see, well, I'm not going to say anything, but Brian Smith is a wonderful guy, great guy. I actually bought the Volume 1 omnibus off of him, hardback. He signed it for me. And so just stood there and talked to me. He said, man, I can't, thank you so much for being, a fan. I was like, dude, I mean, how could you not be a fan of this? I was just, of course, nerding out, geeking out on it.
Gushing, yeah.
Yeah, I was gushing, and he was just laughing at me, but he's a really, really, really nice guy, really cool guy, down to earth, the whole nine. So it was really cool to meet him. So I got to meet him at the Greensboro Con. Now at Fayetteville Con, I was having a good time. My friend went with me the first day. The second day I went back to be in round 2 of the Nerd Slam, which I did not win, unfortunately. But I looked around and, went shopping a little more at the vendors. And as I was like, you know what, it's been a good 2 days, but I'm tired. It's a long drive back. I think I'm going to go home. But let me go through and just make my rounds one more time. And I'm so glad I did, because as I was going through, I noticed that one of my favorite books was on display in the poster. Kind of like the same instance with The Stuff of Legend.
Mm-hmm.
I looked up and I just saw a comic book title that I just took a chance on one day and absolutely ended up loving, and that was The Warlords of Appalachia. And now The Warlords of Appalachia, it's set in a dystopian future in Kentucky, and you have to read it. It's such a good read. Have you read it yet?
No, you have sung the praises of this book for a while, and I'm really sorry that I haven't had the
That's
chance
all
to read
right.
it yet.
I mean,
Of course,
Boom Studios is who,
yeah, I recognize that publisher's name.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get the opportunity to read it soon because, boy, I'd love to have the chance to maybe talk to the creator of that sometime
Yeah.
too. You know,
Philip Kennedy Johnson.
absolutely.
Written by Philip K. Johnson. And Philip Kennedy Johnson, as I was going through there, I looked at it and I looked up and I said, oh my God, Warlords of Appalachia. And he looked down, he's just sitting there smiling at me. I said, or did you write what? He goes, yeah, this is my book. I said, holy crap. I said, you're Philip Kennedy Johnson. He's like, yeah. And he's like, what's your name? I said, it's Ronnie. I love your book. And he just started laughing at me because I was being a total idiot. He's like, oh my gosh, thank you. And I explained to him at the time that the only reason, the only way I had to read it was on digital, because, which doesn't matter to him because he, I bought his book no matter what. I'm the one that is at a loss because I don't have a physical copy of it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I don't have I didn't at the time have a brick and mortar store around me. And he goes, no, I understand. So I'm sitting there talking to him, and he's like, yeah, I've got the book here. I've got some other stuff that I've written, and we decided to come. We got invited to Fayetteville, and then I looked at the book, and I was like, I said, are these the ones that you're selling? He said, yes, I'm out of regular copies, but I have a what's it called when it has a different alternate
Variant.
a variant. I have a variant copy here. Now the variants usually go for like $10 or something like that. He said, but since I don't have any regular copies, I'll give you the variant for $4.
Oh my man.
For cover price. And I was like, you dude, really? He goes, oh yeah, absolutely. He said, you're a fan, you've read it, so $4 for you. And I was like, give me all 4 of them. And he's like, really? I was like, yeah, I want 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you're going to give me the variant copy, then I'm going to buy all of them. He's like, oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely. He said, and I'm going to sign all 4 of them for you. I was like, or I thought he was just going to sign the one, the variant copy.
Yeah.
But he signed all 4 of them for me. And I was like, dude, this is amazing. So Philip Kennedy Johnson, I talked to him a couple of times on Twitter, and posted about him on Instagram. And I can say that he is willing to come on our show here.
No way.
Yeah, he wants to do a podcast with us.
That's very cool.
So I mean, he's just, like I said, just a really nice guy. Philip Kennedy Johnson. He did Warlords of Appalachia. I also bought another trade paperback off of him because I had not read most of his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And had read his first. I bought his first trade paperback, or the trade paperback of his first story, called Last Sons of America, and it is fantastic. That is such a good read as well, and it's about these brothers. One is they both work for this company that acquires children from other countries. They go to families that may be down on their luck or not have any money, or third world countries, because nobody in America can have babies anymore. So they go and acquire their children and give them money and essentially purchase their children and bring them back to America. And they're like, listen, it's a win-win. You're getting money, you're set up, and your child is getting a better life. So a lot of them don't have any other choice but to say yes. So they give their child up, to be adopted.
Mm-hmm.
And so they actually acquire the wrong child at this point, which is where the story takes off. And the brothers, one is just everyday average Joe, and the other one is actually born as he's a dwarf with a few other physical defects about him. So it's a phenomenal read. I loved it. I powered through that in a day or in a night. I don't know how many issues there were in that, but it was a great read. He signed that one for me too. So great guy. I got to meet two authors of two creators of two of my favorite books. So those cons will always be like River City was my first convention, like Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm.
And these two will always be special because I got to meet two of my favorite creators there.
Awesome.
Now the third one, real quick, was NC Comic Con Bull City in Durham, North Carolina. It boasted some of the coolest things I've seen. They had it was a 3-day con. The first day, they had an event at night, which was a free concert by a couple of indie bands. I think it was Star Killer was one of them, and I can't remember the other name. The second day at night, they had Guardians of the Gala, which was pretty much nerd prom. They had a movie festival all weekend where they were showing older films like King Kong versus Godzilla, Blade, Terminator, Adventures in Babysitting, The Last Starfighter, just movies like that all weekend.
So that's some classics right there.
Yeah, just playing it all weekend. And the convention, the Durham Convention Center actually has a couple of movie theaters in it, so you got to watch it in an actual movie theater. So they had a couple of guests. They had I can't remember his name right now, but he played Deadshot on Arrow. He was there. Can't remember his name. Gosh.
Here's the thing: I don't watch any Arrow, and for some reason, I swear I've heard his name before.
I'm sure you have. I mean, you'd think I was, I was actually prepared. I thought I was, but there's a few little notes that I'm missing apparently.
I'm looking here. Hold on. Is it? Well, now that is. Sorry, they got Floyd Lawton, but that's I think his actual name.
Actual name, yeah.
Yeah, as a
Deadshot's actual name, not the actor.
Yeah. No, I don't have the.
Michael Rowe.
There we go.
Michael Rowe. Michael Rowe was there. Young lady
of Dirty Jobs.
No, that would have been a lot cooler to me. Seemed like a nice enough guy. Valiant Comics was there. They had their whole display.
Nice.
Micro and Valiant Comics did a panel together because he stars in Ninjak versus the World or whatever, little short film they did together.
Oh,
but he plays Ninjak. So they had a panel together. They had a young lady, I can't remember her name, but she was in she plays one of the voices in Steven Universe. She had a panel. They had a cosplay panel. But the big name there was Rob Liefeld. Rob Liefeld was there.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I've got to ask. Okay.
Yeah.
I know you're going to talk about it here, so I'll let you speak here in just a second. But, I mean, you got to sit in on a panel with this guy, right?
Uh-huh.
Tell me about it.
Hyper.
Really?
Hyper.
That guy.
How old is
he? Like, I mean,
50.
He's 50 years old.
Just turned 50.
Wow.
He told us that he just turned 50. Phenomenal shape. I mean, you could tell he exercises and stuff because he doesn't stop moving.
Oh, yeah.
He made some inappropriate jokes that were actually really funny. One of them was like he kept sniffing and he was really hyper and bouncing back and forth. And but coming from California, I think is where he lives, to North Carolina, it was a little chilly for him. Is what he said. Listen, I know I'm sniffing. I apologize, but I came from California to North Carolina. I've got a runny nose. I'm not doing cocaine. I promise. I was like,
all right, we'll take your word for it.
But so there was a gentleman that was dressed he made his own cable costume, and he was awesome. The cable costume was phenomenal. He actually got pointed out by Liefeld in the middle of the panel. It's like, dude, I didn't even see you. I don't know why. That cable outfit is great. I want a picture with you.
That's so cool.
So he talked about, Deadpool. He talked about his family. He talked about how Deadpool is feeding his family. He talked about the invention of cable, New Mutants, how when he first broke into the scene, he worked for DC on Hawk and Dove. And then when he was working on Hawk and Dove and turned it around, Marvel called and invited him to work. And he said, and I will tell you this, he said, the best comic creations are when you rip something else off and make it your own. And I was like, what? He said, basically, when I created Deadpool, I took Spider-Man and gave him swords and guns. And I told him that. He said, listen, I want to do this character. And he's basically going to be Spider-Man with knives, swords, and guns. And they were like, do it. So, of course, he developed Deadpool a little more. And Deadpool's whole backstory of dealing with cancer came from from a life story.
Oh, really?
Yeah. One gentleman stood up and at the end asked, he said, how much of the character of Deadpool is actually you? And he said, have you not seen me? And he was like, have you not been watching me this entire time? He said, pretty much all of it. He said, Deadpool's cancer background came from watching my dad suffer from a brain tumor.
Oh, wow.
Things like that. And we were like, whoa. He told us all about, watching his dad dealing with that and everything like that. The Merc with the Mouth came because he doesn't stop talking, and he has this, kind of a smart aleck attitude about him, and he admits that. And so Deadpool is basically him. And I was like, I can really see that, so it was cool to get to see him. I got in line for him to sign something. I didn't know what he was going to sign. Found out that he was charging $40 per signature. I said,
cons are not a nice place for me to be because I'm such a cheap bastard.
you and me both, brother. Because I'm sitting there. I mean, like, I will spend, if I've got the money, I will drop some coin. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And
you only get to do this usually, like, this be the one time you get to meet Rob Liefeld.
Right. And I was sitting there thinking about this, and I was like, this might be, I won't, I got out of line because, one, I didn't have any cash.
Yeah.
And two, because it was cash only. And two, I was like, I just don't know if I want to drop that much money on a signature of Rob Liefeld. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, this guy wrote all of the comic books I read when I, through my adolescence in the 90s. I might not get to see him again. You never know. So, I had some cash finally, and I'd gone to an ATM, drew some cash out. I said, I'm going to go get his autograph. So I went to where the line was. There was nobody in line. So I said, oh, my lucky day. So, so I went through the whole thing, got to the line, and I saw Mr. Liefeld rummaging around in the back and, doing his thing. Not doing his thing, but, gathering his stuff. And I was like, I must have come right at the end. He might be about to take a break.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, this large man who's taller than me comes up, decides that let me put it this way. I'm standing there and I'm waiting for somebody to tell me something. And this large guy comes up.
Either he's going to take your autograph, or he's getting ready to leave. Something.
Somebody tell me something.
Yeah.
So I don't just stand here and look like an idiot. So this guy walks up on me aggressively, who's working the Liefeld table. He's one of the staff at the con. Gets within inches of me, trying to, I guess, intimidate me. He says, "Yeah, actually, the line's capped. He's taking a break." And I said, "Oh, okay. Well, you going to hit me in the face now?" And he's like, "What?" I was like, "You rolled up on me like you wanted to fight." I said, "Are you going to hit me now?" No, that's not what I said. Then you need to check your body language, because that's what you rolled. That's what you walked up here looking like.
I wonder.
I will leave. I'm on my way. I said, I'm leaving. I said, but you need to watch yourself. and then and how you approach people. And he was getting ready to say something, so I just turned around and walked off. And I was like, that dude just cost Rob Liefeld $40.
Yep.
And I don't want to be around any. I don't care if he's around the president. If he's there, I'm not going there.
Yeah.
Because I will. Knowing me, I try not to have a quick temper, but sometimes I do. And I was not happy with that gentleman. Not happy at all. Wasn't happy with the situation. Wasn't happy with how I was treated. Wasn't happy with most of the staff there that day. Well, that weekend. It was a 3-day event. About 75% of them didn't know what was going on, didn't care what was going on, and had bad attitudes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to straight up say this, okay? The idea of North Carolina Comic Con Bull City was really cool. The way they did things, I won't lie. The whole Guardians of the Gala thing, the movie fest, that was cool. Film festival, that was really, really cool. That was a great idea. But you need to work on your staff. They didn't have a clue what was going on. Your vendors didn't seem real happy. The artists were pretty cool. I was actually about to pay extra to get a signature from a guy, but your staff caused me not to do that. I'm talking straight to you, North Carolina Comic Con, and actually, when I reached out to them, it bothered me. So I said, you know what? The only way that I'm going to have any kind of closure is if I reach out and tell them about my experience.
Mm-hmm.
And when I reached out to them, the only way I knew how to do it was at Facebook. The only thing that was said back to me, sorry you had that experience. Did he have red hair? No, he didn't. And I've not heard anything from them since. And it's that frustrating part because it's Facebook. So the little icon shows up. So they've seen.
Yeah, they've seen it. They know what's going on. They've chosen not to
acknowledge it.
Yeah.
So Kevin Eastman of Eastman and Laird, as we know them.
Yep. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan.
Is going to be at North Carolina Comic Con Oak City, which is Raleigh, I think. I don't know. Just call it Raleigh and Durham. Don't be trying to be fancy with this. Is going to be there, and I really want to see him, but I don't want to give North Carolina Comic Con any more of my money.
Yeah.
That whole experience kind of ruined me, kind of tainted that whole weekend for me. Now I had fun. I was a part of another panel called Fanboy Face Off, where you would they gave you a all right, we're doing godlike heroes. We're doing villains. We're doing anti-heroes. We're doing this. So so you were going up against somebody, and they picked anti-heroes, and of course the guy picks Deadpool. So I'm like, all right. So I looked at my friend Hector. I call him my friend. We don't know each other that well. He's a great guy. But Hector, who actually has been a part of Nerd Slam, he has written a book series called Faith the Fandom, which his Christian faith, he relays that to his fandom in comic books. So really great guy. And is really smart, knows his stuff, used to write for Fanboy Face Off for Screen Junkies. He wrote for Screen Junkies. He knows his stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a great guy. I'm really impressed with him. A really nice guy. So I was a part of that. So Hector said, wait a minute, who are you going to choose? Who's your guy? I said, it was really cool the way it happened. I told him who it was going to be. He said, all right. He chose Deadpool, so you get whatever you want. I was like, okay. And he's like, all right, what did you choose? And the guy was like, Deadpool. And I was like, of course, because, you're not original. And they said, all right, Ronnie, who did you choose? I said, Venom.
Nice.
And I was like, the only reason the kid beat me by
Popularity contest.
It was a popularity contest, and I called him out on it.
Yep.
And I said, they were, when they were voting, I made some really good points of why freaking Venom is, could destroy Deadpool, and they still voted for Deadpool because he's Deadpool.
Yep.
And when that happened, when they said, all right, who wants Venom? And not, I could tell that the majority was going to vote for Deadpool. I said, oh, come on. Just because Liefeld is in the house doesn't mean you have to suck up. And everybody just kind of looked at me, and I was smiling when I said it. I wasn't being a douche about it.
Yeah.
And Hector thought it was funny, and I was like, well, it's the truth. And they also kind of like, oh, that's funny. And I'm like, yeah, it's funny, but vote for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that was cool. But my overall experience was tainted to the point of I won't go back because of the staff and because of certain ways that certain things that were done. And
you're not the only one that I've ever heard talk about issues, not just. Now, I've never heard anybody talk about issues with staff at that particular con, but at cons all across the nation, I've listened to plenty of podcasts that have reported on on cons that they've went to, and sometimes security can be a real issue.
Security at North Carolina Comic Con, or at this one, was a joke.
Really?
They did not check my bag. I left and came back multiple times to drop things off in my car. They didn't check my bag anytime. All they did was check and make sure I had my orange bracelet on to see if they got my money, and they were done.
Yep. I mean, and there's things that factor into that, such as unpreparedness, or it's either that or it's the fact that you just may not really care too much about trying to handle things like that. And then there's also the stress factor. This guy, benefit of the doubt, this guy may have had one heck of a day trying to wrangle lines for Rob Liefeld.
I get it.
And
if they came back and told me that, hey, he had a bad day, or if he had even said that, man, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I've had it's been a long day. Hey, dude, I understand. My fault. I didn't mean to get salty with you. I would have bought him a beer, or I would have, something, or a Coke, or a hot dog. I don't know, something. I would have, I would have been nice to him. Yeah. And but the dude's attitude sucked. Yeah. And most of the people that I talked to, their attitude sucked at this place because nobody knew that Rob Liefeld was going to charge for his signature.
Oh,
nobody knew. And when they did tell us, they told us $40. And then they came back and said, yeah, it's $40 cash only. Oh, you're just now finding this out after we've been sitting in line for 20 minutes. But when you get up there, Mr. Liefeld had to tell you, or his assistant had to tell you, yeah, it's $40 for non-key issues. If it's a key issue that he's signing, it's $80.
What?
Yep.
Okay. All that is trying to capitalize on a resale market. That's all that is. Somebody is going to bring up Deadpool number one. First appearance of Deadpool.
Which was going for $600 at the con.
Yep. And they're going to get it signed by Liefeld and turn around, get it slabbed and sold.
Mm-hmm. And Liefeld's going to get his $80.
Exactly. He's going to get his cut of that profit just because of his name and his character. And that's...
Dude's already a millionaire.
Yeah. I mean... he could do this for the rest of his life if that sustained him. I mean, imagine the amount of money that he is getting.
And royalty?
Okay, how long was the con? You said it was 3 days, but how long did he sit around?
2 days.
2 days.
Not 2 full days.
Okay, how many hours would you say he put in?
4 or 5.
How many signatures do you think he got, out the door?
Couple hundred.
Couple hundred an hour?
Yeah, maybe. If
or
that.
are you saying total?
No, probably total.
Okay. So now all he does,
But all he
Ronnie
signed,
Adams,
yeah, he
he
only
gets he
signed for a couple hours.
he goes to events. I'm sure they put him up in a hotel.
They pay him.
They pay him. He sits down, signs his name,
Cash only.
takes a picture,
Tax free.
and gets paid for that as well. This guy,
Cash only, no receipts.
I know, dude.
No paper trail.
There's nothing.
Tax free.
It's all coming in, and I don't understand how this guy's not. Well, no wonder he's excitable at as a 50-year-old. I would be pretty darn excited too.
Yeah,
if I was getting money like that.
I'm not gonna. I can't begrudge him.
No, it's
Make
just
your money, son. I get it.
We can be jealous.
Yeah,
no, and that's for sure.
He was really cool to everybody in the panel. He looked at us. He said, "Listen, we had these exclusive Good Housekeeping books made up. It has Deadpool on the cover. It has Ryan Reynolds. He called him Ron. It has Ryan on the cover. It's got jokes all through it. It's an actual magazine. You look at it. It's got articles and everything in it. It is a parody issue of Good Housekeeping with Deadpool. Deadpool jokes in it. Holiday. Holiday jokes. What was it? Something about roasting your chestnuts, of course, something about nuts, meaning his testicles. But sorry, but,
we had to elaborate.
Had to elaborate. Things like that, and you can't get them, and they don't sell them anywhere.
Yeah.
They were given to people, as promotion pieces by a street team, and he gave everybody in the panel one. Wow. So I got one of them. He said, "I tell you what, I'll sign the first 50, and then we'll see how it goes after that." And I'm like, "Oh, he must be signing this and this, this and a comic book." I get it. You probably only get one signature on one thing. He's not going to sit there and sign all your comic books. I get it. But then I found out he's charging $40, but he wasn't signing. He wasn't charging for the first 50 signatures of those Good Housekeeping books.
I see. Okay.
So, I get it. I get Liefeld's point on it. I wish he hadn't been charging, so I could have got his signature, whatever. But if you're going to run a Comic-Con, and I say this like I'm an expert, I'm not. I've only been to 4, but I think I've seen how they run, and I've seen how I think they should run. I've not been to San Diego yet, not been to New York yet. I say yet, like I'm actually going to get to go, but I haven't been to these places yet. But I'm sure that they're downright crazy how they run because they're insanity. These things. I know somebody said she'd been to 5 San Diego Comic-Cons or something like that, and she was actually she was working as an event host, event coordinator. So she coordinated events there for somebody. They got their table there, quote unquote, and she coordinated that for them. And so she said it's crazy. It's just it's like it's a whole different world, which is what a Comic-Con should be. A whole different world where you feel comfortable and what you like and what you're a fan of. And you're going in and you're like, I feel like playing D&D. Oh, look, they're playing D&D over there. Or, hey, look, let's play some Magic. Or, hey, look, I really enjoy this comic book. I'm going to go buy some. Or, anything like that. I actually found some key issues that Josh Calanders, not key. I found some issues of Fantastic Four runs that Josh Calanders was missing.
They're key to Josh.
They're key to Josh. And I got them from this guy that, he was like, what do you need? I've got everything right here. And he had long boxes upon long boxes. And he cut me a deal because I was like, hey, I'm picking these up for a friend. So, oh, hey, well, here, let's get a deal going. And then another guy was there. He had everything was either cover value or $2 a piece. You know what I mean? Depending on what they were. Yeah. And about 2 or 3 o'clock on Saturday, he looked at it. He had a ton of books left. He goes, I don't want to take any of this home. Everything's 2 for $1.
That's the way to do it.
And I was like, what? He said, everything's 2 for $1. I got a complete Howard the Duck run from the most recent Howard the Duck.
Nice. That's the way to do it right there.
11 issues, $5.50. I paid $5.50 for those, whereas they're $3.99 cover price. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
I got a run of new X-Men All-Star or not All-Star, new X-Men, Astonishing X-Men. I got some Avengers books. People are like, I've got hardback trade paperbacks, things trade paperbacks, hardback collections, all this. They're all half off. Okay, there are too many left. They're all 75% off. And I'm sitting there going, I loaded up on books, Jesse, and didn't spend over $20, $25.
There you go. That's my dream right there, buddy. You wait around to the final hours. That happened to me one time when I had the opportunity to go down to TriCon.
Yeah.
And when I was down at TriCon in Huntington, West Virginia, it began to slowly fade to black as people were loading up everything and walking out the doors. And then, we still had about an hour left to go. And a guy told me, he's like, that guy over there is making some great deals on toys. And I'm looking for stuff for my son.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, dude, I walked over there and he's ready to get out of there. And they will make a deal with you because they don't want to carry all that stuff around all the time.
Yeah.
Their best possible thing to do at a con when you're a vendor, I would assume, is like walk in there with a ton of stuff and sell every single thing. So when you walk out of there, you, number one, can pay for your spot as a vendor, and then have a bunch of cash left over, nothing to take home.
Right.
No physical labor involved.
I don't know the name of the book of the store, but these guys have, God, I don't know how many thousands of books in long boxes lined up on these tables. They have multiple tables. So they also have pipe and drape in the back and racks. They could put their quote unquote wall books up, the more expensive ones. And I was sitting there, going through stuff because I needed a couple of issues that I was missing from the other guy, from the 50-cent guy, the 2 for $1. And I was looking through their books, which were $1 a piece at this point. I was like, I'll pay a couple of dollars, I don't care. I literally handed the guy $2 for a $15 book. I found out, he didn't want it. It was in the box. It was $2 a piece. And I was like, here you go. And he's like, oh, you got a good book there. Walked off. And so I literally heard him say, hey, we started making a profit just off our wall books. Now I found out that it's probably like $700-800, if not more, at these places to get prime table space.
Really?
Yeah. So they made their money back off their wall books alone.
Wait. Are you saying $700 to $800 for a table?
For multiple
for
tables.
A good, okay.
Yeah, right. Spot for a square.
That's insanity,
dude.
But I understand it's a big venue, so
yeah. So, and there wasn't a whole lot of vendors there this past weekend either at the Bull City Con, at the Durham Con. I mean, because they're charging so much money. But this one I found some good deals. I couldn't help it. I was like, I didn't spend a lot of money, but I got a lot of stuff. I got like books upon books. I probably brought home 55 books.
That's awesome.
$25 to $30. That's including Josh's stuff. So I was insane. This is the glory of Comic-Con. And I found Captain America. Oh, I got a little story about my Captain America figure and Red Guardian. And the reason I got Red Guardian is because he's Captain America's counterpart from Russia. You still there, Jesse?
I'm here.
Oh, great. Okay. So I've got Russia and America, with their shields. And the Captain America figure actually has Cap Wolf, the head.
Oh,
he put his werewolf head on.
That's so cool.
So I'm sitting there looking through these figures, these loose, and they're Marvel Legends figures. They're nice, multiple points of articulation,
the articulation, the Legends are awesome, dude.
So, and they're like $5-10, a piece, whatever he's charging for them. And I'm like, these are good prices for these, $5, whatever. So I'm looking through them, and this guy looks, oh, hey, look, it's Captain America with his werewolf head. And I went, and I love Cap Wolf. I actually had some issues of Captain America where he first turned into a Cap Wolf.
Yeah, buddy.
And he had to fight Wolverine and Dr. Druid. They were trying to help him. Dr. Druid, who was a worthless
Stephen Strange.
Worthless Stephen Strange.
Knockoff, yeah.
Oh my gosh, he's dead now. So he's one of the heroes that everybody forgot about, and they're like, oh yeah, he died, and they didn't bring him back. It's because nobody liked him. So I'm sitting there, I was like, dude, I've got those comic books at home. I was like, I didn't see that. And I was like, if you're not, if you weren't going to buy that, I would like that. And he goes, huh, well, you know what? Yeah. And just held on to it.
What? And
I was like, are you serious right now? Because I'm sitting there holding Red Guardian. And I want that Captain America. And you're going to be a D-bag about it after I ask you and just say, you know what? No, I do want this now. So he's going through these, and I'm going through them, and I'm trying to find another Captain America, and I'm finding Captain America Winter Soldier. I found the Bucky Captain America, which was pretty cool. I should have probably got it too. I found all these others, and I was like, there's nothing else here with Cap Wolf. And I was like, there's no sense in me getting Red Guardian if I can't get Captain America because there's not another one in here. So screw it. And I just threw it down.
Oh.
And I was like, there's no sense in it because I guess you're going to buy it. And I was like, it's a toy and I'm a grown man, but still, that was a jerk move, man.
Yeah, what a jerk.
And he said, well, you know what? Here. Like he was doing me a favor. I was like, are you sure? And he goes, yeah. I said, sweet. And I grabbed it out of his hand. I grabbed Red Guardian and I grabbed something else he was looking at and paid for him and left. I can't remember what it was because I just did it to be a jerk. But I got that. I found a place that was selling pop vinyl figures on the last day.
That's what I was going to ask. Did you get any pops?
2 for $1. I mean, two for one.
I was going to say, geez, 2 for $1.
Not for $1. 2 for 1. I got Tom Servo and Crow.
Nice.
Buy one, get one free.
Very cool.
Mr. Science Theater. I also got, no, I'm sorry. Yeah. I got April Ludgate and
April Ludgate.
And Andy Dwyer from Parks and Rec.
Oh, yes. Okay.
I got them for $8 a piece.
Nice.
Or something like that. So it was like below what they're worth, like a couple of dollars, and I actually found my white whale. I got a Kevin Smith pop.
Ooh, very cool.
I also got a couple of I paid a little too much on the exclusive side, but they were worth it. So the regular ones I got for a good deal. The Chase figures, I probably should have haggled a little bit, but I didn't. I did on 2 of them, but I didn't on the others. From Stranger Things 2, I got Max, her Hot Topic exclusive, with the Michael Myers mask on. With the up over her head, she's holding the knife in the Halloween bucket.
Mm-hmm.
So I got Max with her costume. I got the Kevin Smith pop, and then from Shaun of the Dead, I couldn't figure out which one I wanted. They have his friend Ed. They have regular Ed or zombie Ed. I was like, I don't know which one I want. He goes,
did any of them come with a PlayStation controller?
No, they came with the shovel.
On the shovel.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there looking at him. He goes, dude, I tell you what, because this is on the last day. He goes, just if you want both of them, I'll cut you a deal.
Nice.
I was like, what kind of deal, my friend? And he gave me a really good deal on them, so I took them. And so I kind of racked up on the pops this weekend, or that weekend. And the vendors that were there were really cool. There wasn't a whole lot of it's the same thing. There was a vendor there selling elf ears. They would match your skin tone.
Oh, I was going to say, I thought maybe it would be like elephant ears.
No. If it were
can't eat them. No
sugary doughy treats, it would have been a lot better. But there were a lot of people wearing fairy and elf ears and hobbit ears, kind of the pointy ears.
Mm-hmm.
But they were wearing regular street clothes. I'm like, what is going on here? Why is everybody wearing these? But somebody was selling them there. They were prosthetic, spirit gum them on. And they looked really good. I mean, they did a really good job. And they were charging like $25 a pair for them. So they were, for latex and all that, it seemed like a pretty decent deal.
Mm-hmm.
There was all these different. There was custom wooden swords and axes and things like that. They were really nice looking, but they were like $45 for a piece of wood. And I was just because they painted it and put some fake leather on the handle, I was like, you know what? I don't need that, and walked on. And then I turned the corner, and there was an actual. This was the first time I've seen this. The gentleman, they allowed him to sell real swords at this con.
Ooh, that'd make me nervous.
Yeah, but you had to keep them in the box.
Mm-hmm.
If they caught you with them out of the box, you had to leave. Which I don't know how they would have caught you because nobody was paying attention. But he sold like full tang, which is the full size swords, and then half size as well. And then knives and dude, and he was also had these long pipes there. They were about $30. And I was like, I really want to buy a pipe. And I was looking at him. He said, I'll tell you what about this pipe. It's a real smoking pipe. And I was like, oh wow, cool. You can actually smoke this pipe. He said, yeah, absolutely. He said, now it's got a metal insert that go, down in there. And he said, that's because these are developed, or these were made for
marijuana
cannabis.
Yep.
And I was like, oh.
Got your little screen there, son.
And he said, that's because, and he was explaining the science. I know why. He's like, cannabis actually burns hotter than your tobacco, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't care at this point. I just want to leave your presence. But I was like, well, can you smoke tobacco out of it? He goes, oh, you can smoke anything you want out of it. I was like, I don't want to know what you smoke out of this, dude, because you are weird right now. And, I was like, all right, well, I'll think about that, and put the pipe back down. But it was like a straight up Gandalf pipe, long, curved.
Oh, yeah.
On it. Yeah, it was really cool looking. So,
Samwise Gamgee, have you been eavesdropping?
Oh, I ain't been dropping no eaves, sir. I want to meet Sean Astin.
Oh.
If there's a con out there that he's at, I want to be there.
Did I tell? I told that story last time, right?
Yes,
I did.
want
Yeah,
to meet him because you saw him, but you didn't go up and say hi.
No, I caught him out of the corner of my eye. Next thing I know, we're halfway down the block, and I went, wait a second,
hold up, that was Sean Astin.
Unbelievable.
So, but with that, I'm going to give him my ratings.
Oh, sweet.
Like River City gets an A+ every time.
Okay,
because he knows what he's doing. I would say, as it gets bigger, he's going to need to step up on the security a little bit because, I don't think they were doing bag checks or anything like that. But you pretty much know everybody there anyway.
Yeah, we're small time so far. And,
yeah, but as it gets bigger,
yeah, when it increases in size, yes, that's exactly right. It's going to require some kind of security force or something like that. I'm sure.
Other than that, I mean, like he knows what he's doing. He's got it going on, man. He gets an A every time. And out of the three I went to, for experience, I'm gonna have to go with Fayetteville. because there was so much to take in, and I got to meet Philip Kennedy Johnson.
Yeah.
For knowing for like efficiency and knowing everything that was going on. You go here, you go there, you do this, and because I got to meet Brian Smith, it would have to be Greensboro. Man, they absolutely killed it. They were great. Yeah, their staff there was fantastic. And they were like boom, 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 had everything laid out. Downstairs, upstairs, you go here, you go there. Hey, no problem. We're glad you're here. Thank you for being here. Hey, did you make sure you got your art because you're a VIP? Yeah, I did. Thank you very much. It's in my backpack. Great. Did you get a protector for it? Um, no. Well, oh shoot. Well, here, because you're VIP, the protective sleeves are only $5. Everybody else they're like 10. I was like, seriously? I was like, well, here's a $5 bill. And they're like, well, here's your plastic protector. I slid my artwork down in there, and so it was really, they were asking me questions and make sure that I was having a good time.
That's good.
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, I really enjoyed Greensboro. Hey, North Carolina Comic Con, Bull City, you get a D. Because your staff sucked. I sound like I'm being harsh, but there's no other way I can be right now because like nobody knew what was going on. 75% didn't look like they wanted to be there. 25% were sweet. These ladies I ran into, they were really cool. They were really nice. They were selling specific, North Carolina Comic Con, the comic book, all this, T-shirts, they had special comic books written up for it and all this other stuff. And I went by the table and looked at it. And most of the time when you're looking at their wares, people will engage you. They say, hey, do you want this? Hey, do you want this? Didn't acknowledge me. So I was like, well, I don't want any of that crap. And then the security was abysmal. But overall, the feeling was cool. And, all the events they had going on were really cool. Free concert. If you had your, Friday pass or your weekend pass or VIP passes. The Guardians of the Gala, which was really cool. From what I've seen pictures, I didn't go. But man, it's just like nobody knew what was going on. And when I talked to them on Facebook about it, they said one question, and I haven't heard from them since.
Yeah.
So, I don't want anything. And they're like, oh, you're just trying to get free tickets or something, Ronnie. I'm like, no, I'm not. I just want them to acknowledge that, yeah, hey, we'll look into this. Hey, we'll make sure our staff does better. Something. But, whatever. So, I don't think I'll be going to the next one. But I will definitely be going back to Greensboro. I will definitely be going back to Fayetteville. I'm definitely going to Raleigh SuperCon this July. So like these cons, like the whole thing about a convention to me, to a Comic-Con, is you go into a world where you can escape reality for a little bit. You've got people that are dressed up as some of your favorite characters, some of them really good, some of them really bad. But usually they're really good in in their cosplay. But the ones that are bad are usually bad on purpose.
Yeah. I've seen that.
Things like that. People are having fun. Nobody's judgmental. Nobody's cares what you like or anything like that. I hate anime. But when I'm at a Comic-Con, if you like anime, more power to you. I don't care. Because I tell you what, there's a whole group of, a whole table of it over there, and you're probably going to be over there anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be over here with my comic books. So, and it's honestly the only place you can go and find the prettiest girls who are actually nerds too. Who are in the same things. I'm like, where were you when I was younger? Better looking. So, Jesse, I really want to get you down here for one of these cons. So maybe sometime in the near future we can get you down here for Greensboro or Raleigh SuperCon or something like that.
Yeah, buddy, I'd love to. I really, really would. It's
It'll blow
fun to
your
get
mind.
out. Yeah, it's fun to get out. And biggest one I ever been to was Wizard World up in Cleveland.
Yeah,
And
that was my next question. What's the biggest con you've been to? And is Wizard World.
it was Wizard World up in Cleveland. There was, wow, dude. You talk about a lot of pop culture icons up there. I mean, just about darn near anything you could think of. But the thing is, it's not the place for a cheap man like myself. When somebody's charging, we had Steve from Ghost Hunters. That's one of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
Probably from TV. And you just walk around and you see everybody's charging just to get a picture and just to get a signature. And it's like, well, you know what? I don't have the money. I don't equate. There's very few things that I equate money and fan experience with. Okay. I have to be a rabid fan in order to try and pay somebody to give me a picture of themselves.
I grew up watching the original Hulk series.
Yeah.
I didn't want to pay $40 for a signature from Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah.
Or Sam Jones. Liefeld was a little different for me. Because Liefeld, I read his stuff almost exclusively in the 90s, because that's all there was Liefeld stuff.
Yeah.
Now I've ragged on him on source material and on here about his diamond feet and his impossible anatomy for women and everything. I get it, but you do you, boo. You're making millions of dollars. I get it. You created one of the most beloved characters ever. You created one of my favorite X characters ever, which is Cable. The man has some talent, in writing. Drawing, I'm not back in the 90s, I didn't know any better. I was like, oh my gosh, he draws lots of pouches and big guns and girls with rocket boobs, because they always came down to a point. It was weird.
I'm a rocket boob.
So it was like, it was cool then. And that's why I wanted to, I totally agree with you. Fan experience is not equal to how much money I spend.
Yeah.
Fan experience was, that awkward moment I had with Lou Ferrigno, or getting to hear him speak.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's the same thing with me. I loved sitting in on panels. One of the most recent places that I spent money to get an autograph or actually have a picture was Tricon with Mick Foley.
Yeah.
And I had, I remember, and I don't know if I've shared this on here before or not, but when I was a kid, or not even a kid, when I was a young adult, watching all these pay-per-views, and I watched the pay-per-view where yeah, well, Hell in a Cell. I didn't watch Hell in a Cell. Believe it or not. I didn't catch that.
I watched him get chucked off there. I thought he was dead.
Yeah, I did not see that live. I couldn't imagine what it would have been like to see that live. Like, well, I say live, but in real time.
In real time.
I watched the one where he faced The Rock.
Oh,
he got his hands cuffed behind him, and The Rock just,
was that the Rumble, or was
I don't know if it was
SummerSlam?
I don't think it was. I don't think it was the Rumble. It might have been. I don't know, but I do know that he gets obliterated with chair shot after chair shot. It was an I Quit match, if I remember correctly. But he just gets there's no way for him to defend himself, and The Rock just lays him out. And I even remember reading the book, Rock's book.
I read the other take of it. I read Mick Foley's book. Yeah,
you read Mick Foley's book. Well, Rock's book, it's so funny because The Rock goes, he goes on about his life and as he's growing up and, all the fun WWE experiences, and it leads right up to that match. And he says, and if you want to hear about that, go read Foley's book. And he doesn't say anything about it in his book.
Yeah. I think he was embarrassed about it.
So anyway, that when I watched that one in real time, I looked at my friends and I said, if I ever get the chance to meet this guy, I'm going to shake his hand. So everything came together, and Mick Foley was brought to TriCon. And I said, well, this is my opportunity. I'm never going to get the chance to say hi or, say anything to this guy. And Mick Foley was class act, nice guy.
They say he's super nice to fans. Yeah. Cool guy.
He's a real cool dude. So he was signing one thing. So I brought a copy of.
For free?
No, it was, you had to pay, I think it was $20 or $25. You got a picture and he'd sign something.
Yeah, I was figured he charged, but it probably wouldn't be. He's a cheapskate.
Yeah, he doesn't.
He's a notorious cheapskate himself. So
yes, he is.
I figured he wouldn't charge much.
Nah, he was really cool. Only charged I think $20 or $25. You got a picture with him. He signed stuff. So I took my copy of Foley is Good. I didn't have a copy
of the second book.
Yeah, I didn't have a copy of the first book, which is the one that I've read page after page after page.
I've read it 2 or 3 times.
So good. But anyway, so I take it in there, and of course, Justin W., another tie back to Justin W., he says, would you do me a favor and take down his Christmas book and see if he would sign it as well? So I sit there and I look at him and I say, number one, I said, can I get a picture of me shaking your hand? So sure enough, he's like, oh yeah, sure. So I'm sitting there behind the table with him and he shakes my hand and they take a picture of it. Great. My dream has been met.
Right.
Then I say, okay, well, I said, I understand you're only signing one thing. I said, here is my book that I want you to sign. I said, you don't have to worry about this one over here. Of course, Justin W. was going to get the short shaft. I'm sorry, buddy.
Yeah, no. It's your dime, and you're beating him.
Yeah, but Mick Foley's like, he's like, nobody's looking. So he grabs that one, signs it right off. And he inscribed the other one to my daughter because I had him sign it. I had him say to Kira, and he signed it. And then I got to sit in on the panel, which is another great.
Yeah.
That is probably my favorite thing, is listening to these people talk about some subject or another. I don't care who it is. A lot of times it can be, it could be something that's way off, no big pop culture icons holding the panel. And it's still interesting to sit down and listen to people talk about whatever craft they're in.
There were cosplay panels at this.
At
several cons I was at, teaching you how to get into it. The art of working with foam, things like that. So, it doesn't have to be, about comic books or movies or anything like that. It's, it can be anything. They had African American cultural impact in comic books, things like that.
I bet that would have been a great educational experience to listen to.
Yeah, it clashed with something else that I wanted to go to. So,
regardless, though, if you would have had the opportunity, you probably would have been.
Oh yeah.
And plus, what are you doing at a con most of the time? You're walking around and you're up on your feet. It's fun to sit down and listen to people tell stories. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's not going to. It takes an hour of your time. So, like I got to listen to Rob Liefeld. I got to be part of Fanboy Face Off.
Yeah.
All this stuff was going on. And I was just, the panels are fantastic. Even being a part of a panel was so much fun. At River City, and, listening to the Figure Forecast panel, listening to the she's so pretty panel.
Yeah,
that was great. That was a lot of fun. All these people that we're familiar with anyway, but they're up there talking about stuff they love. The Figure Forecast, they were up there doing what they love, recording and talking and taking questions and all that stuff, and having Jock Sampson come up there and be the most awkward person I've ever seen in my life because he was not very comfortable at this Comic-Con. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
He was not comfortable.
He was not.
And then listening to Brooklyn Ewing, and she was so pretty, and hearing the triumphs and the struggles and her artistic approach to making a movie on a zero budget.
Yeah,
that was so cool to me. that this girl, she has a passion for these horror movies, and she's like, no, I'm going to make this movie. I don't have any money, but screw it. Let's just do it anyway. And, so Comic-Con, if you have a chance to go to a local one, a big one, whatever, go have fun. If you've never been, you need to go to one. Save up the money, sell blood, whatever you need to do, and go to these cons. I mean, like some of your local ones, like I said, Greensboro was only $25 for all weekend. River City was $5 to get in when I went.
That's right.
$5. So they're experiences that you won't forget. They're memories. So with that, I'm going to say, Jesse, talk to us and tell us a little bit what's going on with you, man. Plug us away.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, go give that Rattlich in Broadcasting Network Facebook page a like to stay up on top of all the great podcasts that network has to offer. If you enjoy wrestling, if you enjoy comics, movies, they have a show most likely that's for you. MMA, there's something on there. So you can search RADULICH in most search engines, and you're probably going to find a podcast somewhere on that first page. I am part of a podcast that me and Ronnie do on the Rattlich and Broadcasting Network. It's called Source Material. It's about comics.
You are the patriarch of that podcast. You are that podcast. You are Source Material, sir.
We have fun on there, man.
I am just your lackey.
Well, if you could, it's like a book club for comics where
it's so much fun.
Yeah, a couple guys get together, we read a book, and then we discuss what happens in the book. Probably spoil the crap out of it, but we also discuss our feelings about some of the stuff that happened in the book.
And I will tell you this, Mark Radulich is on there a lot, and he is always wrong.
All the time. He's either wrong or he ain't right. One or the other. But yeah, he's me, you, and him.
Yeah.
Him, and I.
We as
are
a collective.
We're coming together here. We're recording it this Monday, so it'll probably be dropping shortly thereafter. But we're going to be discussing the first 18 issues of Runaways. That's right.
I'm so excited.
From 2003, Brian K. Vaughan.
Who can do no wrong.
Yeah, I won't argue with that. So I've already read the first 12, got my notes ready to go. I just got to read the next 6.
I am a sucker for these teen angsty bullcrap storylines. And then you throw superheroes in it, and I'm like in heaven.
It's a fun read. This coming Monday, that's going to be aired on the Rattlich and Broadcasting Network, will be our discussion as we tie it in. Synergize, Ronnie Adams.
Synergy.
We synergize with the local, with the recent local release. No, the recent release of Justice League, the movie. And we discuss a book that
we are disgusted by a book.
Wow. I mean, I don't know if it has much to do with the movie.
No.
We kind of discussed that a little bit.
No.
But other than some of the main characters that you see in Justice League, we discuss Justice League Darkseid War.
That's about the only thing the storylines had in common.
Yeah, it's the same characters may show up, or at least a few of the same characters will show up. So check that out. I'm going to be editing that this weekend, dropping it on Monday, so watch for that. There may be a gag track at the end because we got silly. I know towards the end, #syphilis is coming.
Syphilis is coming.
Oh, man. So, yeah,
wow.
You can follow me at Stiznarkey on Twitter if you do so wish. The Source Material podcast Twitter is at SourceMattCast. Ronnie Adams, thank you very much. I turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I tell you what, you can find Screamer Boy podcast. I almost said Source Material Boy. Screamer Boy podcast on any kind of social media. We're talking. If you look us up on Facebook, just look up Screaming Boy Podcast. On Twitter, we are at Screaming Boy PR. On Instagram, we are Screaming Boy Podcast. We have a Snapchat, but we really don't use it. Just look at us up on there. Tell us hi. Give us a like. Follow us. Whatever. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and the Radio Literature Broadcasting Network. Any of these fine ways you can listen to podcasts, you can find us on there. We are finally back uploading to all of these places, which is, it feels good. It feels good to be back. And I tell you what, with that, I'm going to say thank you, Jesse. For Jesse Starcher, I am Ronnie Adams. We'll catch you later.
Tater.
Oh.